Redirect?
We have no redirect, Your Honor. We asked the witness to be excused.
Next witness.
The plaintiff would like to call McQuiggan to the stand.
We're just going to constructively swear in everybody, okay?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Allison.
Say your name for the court.
My name is McQuiggan.
And what is your current occupation?
Currently, I work out of the coroner's office and I am the lead death investigator.
And what's your educational background?
Well, after completing a 4-year degree in biochemistry with a minor in physics from the University of Minnesota at Morris, I went on and completed a 2-year graduate degree from the University of Midlands in forensic science.
Now, you just stated that you are a death investigator at the coroner's office.
Correct.
What does a death investigator do?
Well, I research and investigate any means of death that cannot be found, any death that is sudden, traumatic, or unexplained.
Are you specifically trained to do this?
Absolutely. I've received and gone to many seminars regarding evidence collection, postmortem physiological changes, crime scene reconstruction, ballistics testing, just to name a few.
And how many death investigations have you led?
I've probably led over 200.
Now, how are you connected to today's case?
I was the first police respondent on scene at Lane Hamilton's shooting death.
And what did you do? How did you investigate when you first started at the scene?
I began by positively IDing the victim as Professor Lane Hamilton, and I went on my investigation from there.
Now, did you talk to anyone when you were at the scene?
Initially.
Who was that person?
I later found it was reporter Ricky Thomas.
And what did you say to Ricky Thomas?
I learned that, or I told him that on the record, our investigation was strictly preliminary and my investigation was ongoing.
Did you ever tell him that Drew Walton was convicted of any sort of crime in regarding Lane Hamilton's death?
He was never arrested, so no.
Now, moving back to your investigation, did you conduct any further?
Yes, I performed through a battery of testing after my initial investigation.
And what did that battery testing include?
Well, it included GSR testing, gunshot residue, as well as ballistics and stippling.
Now, is this common in your field?
Absolutely.
And is this renowned in your field?
Absolutely.
Now, I'd like to take each of the tests and go through them one by one so that the jury can best understand them. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
All right, first, let's start with the GSR. What is GSR testing?
GSR is a measurement for gunshot residue, and this test in particular helps to determine who more likely than not fired the weapon using the residue that's expelled from the firearm.
And did you find residue in this case?
I did.
Where?
Well, I tested 4 surfaces, both of Lane Hamilton's gloves and both of Drew Walton's hands. I found a minimal amount of gunshot residue on Drew Walton's hands, while I found an abundance on Lane Hamilton's right glove, leading me to believe that Lane Hamilton more likely than not fired the weapon.
Now, ballistics testing, what is that?
Ballistics helps to determine the trajectory of the bullet in the victim.
And did you find the trajectory in this case?
I did. I noted that the bullet went to the right parietal lobe, located approximately here, around the temple area, at an 85-degree angle. It's most conclusive with right-handed suicide.
Now, you also mentioned that you did stippling. What is that?
Well, stippling is the studying of a pattern that's embedded on a victim when a bullet enters a victim's, in this case, head. Depending on how small or large this pattern is, helps me to determine the proximity at which the gun was fired.
And what were you able to determine in this case?
Well, the pattern on Lane Hamilton's head was rather concentrated and small, meaning that I can say with 99.5% certainty that the gun was within 0 to 4 inches of Lane Hamilton's head when the bullet was expelled.
Now, did these testings conclude your investigation?
No, I prepped the body to go to the morgue, and then I was also fortunate enough to review the autopsy and its subsequent report.
And what did the autopsy report show?
It confirmed my findings in regards to the trajectory of the bullet. It stated that the bullet did enter the temple at the right parietal bone at an 85-degree angle, most conclusive with right-handed suicide.
Now, in any death investigation that you yourself investigate, who makes a final ruling?
Well, the doctors that issued the autopsy report to make a ruling, as well as the police department, who I work in cooperation with out of the coroner's office, all three of us.
And in Lane Hamilton's death, did you make a ruling?
Absolutely, yes, we did.
And what was your ruling?
We ruled that Lane Hamilton had unfortunately committed suicide on the night of September 24th.
Thank you. No further questions at this moment, Your Honor.
Other guys?